Welcome back to McNulty's Book Corral. This is the 2023 Roundup. Now, because I was off of YouTube for about 7 months, these are books that I never obviously did a video on, so they should be new to you. And it's just a fragment of obviously what I read. I read at least one, often 2 books a week, which is not unusual for me. I don't watch a lot of television, as I've mentioned before. So let's just jump right into it. What did I read this year that I really stuck out with me, that I'm fond of? Well, first of all, I went and I finally got to Bernard Cornwell's Arthurian trilogy. The first volume was The Winter King, coming up here, and I've talked about other Arthurian trilogies. Mark Chadbourne did one, and I have yet to cover Mary Stewart's The Crystal Cave and her other books. I have yet to cover T.H. White's classic, The Once and Future King. I probably will get to those at some point. T.H. White's book is my favorite. This is magnificent, though. I saw a little blurb with Bernard Cornwell where he talks about this. These 3 books were his favorite. So The Winter King was the first, and I understand there's going to be a television series that's out there. I haven't seen it yet. The second volume was Enemy of God, all right? And again, all 3 had me spellbound. Really just exciting, beautifully written. Bernard Cornwell is a genius. I don't think I've said that before. Bernard Cornwell is a genius. And the final volume was Excalibur. This is, the best trilogy, one of the best trilogies on Arthur I've read, and I've read a lot. As I've mentioned, it's just, if you're into that, and I'm one of those Americans who loves the UK. I love the UK, all right? I love England. I love Scotland. I love Wales. I love Ireland. Well, only part of Ireland is the UK, but either way. And, what can I say? That's just the way it is. So if you haven't read Bernard Cornwell, I'm recommending this trilogy. Start here. Fantastic books. A couple of other things I want to talk about. William W. Johnstone, J.A. Johnstone, you've heard me talk about them before. This is Dark Knight of the Mountain Man. Get the cover up here, okay? This is my favorite Western of the year, and we're going to talk about it more with other books of this type in a very special episode forthcoming, probably before January 5th. We'll see if I can hold me to that. But for now, let's just say, wow. Excellent. Peter Brandvold. Come on, you guys. I'm like a Peter Brandvold super fan. Bloody Joe Mannion 8. I think there's going to be 9. I don't remember if there's going to be 10 or not. All right. I keep repeating myself. You know how I feel about these books. This is Brandvold and the WWJ brand. Those are my staples. That's my diet. So I love them. I love every bit of it. Now, this is cool. Recently, I did an episode about the Roy Rogers comics and the John Buscema artwork when he was working on that series. Well, the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, these are the mini ones, which is a smaller version of the Epic collection that they put out. They just did the Silver Surfer. So, this is the first 4 issues of the Silver Surfer. Let's put that stuff up here. And it also features Fantastic Four Annual 5, a story from there, and Not Brand Ick 13. But the first 4, Silver Surfer, with scripts by you-know-who, Stan Lee, and artwork by John Buscema. This is John Buscema at his stunning best. Take a look at how they used primary colors back then. The modern comic book industry has been ruined by poor coloring on a digital palette. Just study this stuff. Study this is sequential art at its absolute finest. I can't praise it enough. Obviously, I read these when they came out, and have them in boxes somewhere. But, rereading them again, I was just as thrilled. This is really, these Marvel up through the late 60s are the best comic books ever made. Really fantastic. And John Buscema, I thought, was the best Silver Surfer artist. He didn't create the Silver Surfer. That would have been, excuse me, that would have been Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But Buscema was the better artist. And, you know, Buscema also, to me, he's also the greatest Conan the Barbarian artist of all time. When you think about Conan the Barbarian, I think about the Savage Sword of Conan. We're going to discuss that in a very interesting episode coming up as well. I'm giving you a couple of sneak peeks lately. Anyways, this was just highly enjoyable. So pick this up. Go to your comic shop and ask if you can get the Mighty Marvel Masterworks Silver Surfer with the John Buscema, the first 4. Fantastic. You won't go wrong. Give this out as a gift, you know, to young readers. Okay, so we have another Western, Tom Sharp, The Man and the Legend by Charlie Steele. I did a review on Amazon of this, and I don't write a lot of reviews, but I like Charlie Steele's books. I've read quite a few of them now, I think 3 or 4. Well, that's not quite a few, but, you know, I'm getting there, okay, Charlie? Really, really great book. He's really such a fine person. I've never met him, but you watch his Facebook page, and he's a very sincere and honest man, and I just think he's great, and so I'm promoting him. Besides, I really believe that the independent Western writers are the ones that are doing the better work right now, with the exception of Peter Brandvold and WWJ Brand. You know, this is where it's at. So Charlie Steele, if you haven't read a Charlie Steele, get Tom Sharp, The Man and the Legend. It has a 16-point font. It's really easy to read. It's a nice big book. This was, for me, it was a good read, you know. So anyways, wanted to get that in. One last one. Now, this leads us into a lot of discussions. I'm going to try and be brief here. Preston and Child, The Cabinet of Dr. Leng. Now, previously I did the episode, I did an episode on Bloodless, which precedes this, and there's going to be another one coming, I think in the summer of 2024, which will be kind of like a mini trilogy within the series of Pendergast novels, which you've seen me talk about Preston and Child before. Let me say this, because I don't know if I've made this clear enough. I hope I have. Preston and Child, why do I like these guys? I've talked about it in another episode recently. I don't like modern thriller writers. I think they're boring. Preston and Child are the exception, and this is why. They don't write the same book over and over again. That's why when you read these books, and if you've been reading the series, you will be constantly shocked. You will be shocked. You will be entertained. You will fall out of your chair. You will wish that there was a new book every week. Okay? And that's the way it should be, folks. Okay? They should be that good. Like Peter Brandvold, you know. It's like, I can't wait for the next one, you know. So, anyways, there you go. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the plot because I can't predict what these guys are doing anymore, and that's the way I like it. I don't want to read the same damn book over and over again. You know, I do when they're classics. Farewell, My Lovely, Raymond Chandler, okay? But I wouldn't, you know, not even every year, you know. You read the classics appropriately, incrementally in your life over again when they're that good. But Preston and Child are in such a range of creativity right now. My praise to them. I have no idea if they watch these videos or not. I know I sent them a link once, and I never heard from them, so I don't know. Everybody's too busy to respond to their fans these days. We live in a strange world. You know, the first author I ever met was Margaret Henry, so I base everything on her kindness to her fans, which was incredible. So anyways, see how I go on tangents, and I don't even have a beer in my hand. And because it's Christmas, I couldn't resist sneaking in a Christmas story. So I picked something from actually right up here. I have a modest stack of Sexton Blake Pulp Digest magazines from the United Kingdom, most of which I bought in London. And A Corpse for Christmas by W.A. Ballinger. I have not talked about Sexton Blake in this video series yet at all. And if you're interested in Sexton Blake, I'll tell you a little bit about him. But Roy Reads Anything is a great channel, and he has a superb episode devoted to Sexton Blake. In fact, sometimes when I watch you other booktubers out there, I see the books you have, and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I wish I had that, because, anyway, collecting is, it is what it is. Let's just leave it at that. All right, so Sexton Blake first appeared in, 1893. There have been over 4,000 stories. He started out as a sort of a copy of Sherlock Holmes, and based on Baker Street and some of the characteristics of Sherlock Holmes and so forth. Over time, the character transformed, and by the time we're reading these, this is 62. This is December of 62. Sexton Blake had been transformed into more of a James Bond, international man of intrigue. To me, this is the best of Sexton Blake. I really love these. I'm going to have an episode about Sexton Blake because I want to talk about how I became interested in Sexton Blake, which was when I began to investigate the Peter Saxon pen name. W.A. Ballinger is a pen name, probably W. Howard Baker, maybe Wilfred McNeely. I'm not sure. More to come on all of that. There are so many multiple authors. Some of the Sexton Blake stories were attributed to authors under their real name and often under pen names. What I like about the fiction is that the really good quality writing. Again, that's always the key. Talking about modern writers compared to these guys, but Sexton Blake had a certain charm. In this period from the late 50s into the 60s was just, to me, what I've read, I haven't read them all, it was great, and just a hint, there are reprints out there, and this is some of the classic, really old Sexton Blake library stories that were reprinted. So anyways, I'm going to come back to Sexton Blake in another episode at a later date. But I wanted to get a Christmas story in, so there you go. You get a Christmas story out of it. That's a bonus. Anyways, it's Christmas. And so recently my wife and I took our granddaughter Evie to the Christkindle Market in Daly Plaza in Chicago. And I'm going to give you that footage here just to pass the time for a moment and look at some nice different things. And I want to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas. Peace.